Hello vinyl community, it's Bill here again for another video, and this one's going to be the first in a series, and it's called Random Records and Music Ephemera. And this is episode 1, and yeah, it's not going to be like a whack-a-mole random records. So I have selected these out of my collection, but they're ones that I haven't really had opportunity to show before. And I thought somebody out there might be interested in seeing some of these records. Plus, I'm going to show some concert tickets and some articles from the press, let's put it that way, and see what you think. So, first of all, I'm going to show a record that I haven't seen before on the vinyl community, and this is Dux Deluxe and Don't Mind Rocking Tonight. And this is archetypal pub rock from about 73 to 75. And yeah, the band Dux Deluxe, I remember hearing them on Rock Goes to College or the In Concert series that they used to have on Radio 1 about 5, 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening. But yeah, Dux Deluxe were included Nick Garvey and Sean Tyler, Martin Belmont, Tim Roper, and there's even a picture of Dave Edmunds on here. So I'm not sure if Dave Edmunds was in the band, but yeah, they were first recorded on Man's Christmas at the Patty live set. So that's a 10-inch double album, I think you can still find, with the Welsh band Man. But there were some other great acts of that era on that 10-inch double album. But this has got some great tunes on it. Coast to Coast, Fireball, Daddy Put the Bump, which is Sean Tyler. So these guys sort of shared the writing credits, and they also do It's All Over Now, the great Bobby Womack song, and Don't Mind Rocking Tonight, the title track from this album is fantastic as well. And they do Here Comes the Night on here as well. So this is an album that I haven't seen very often. So this next album, or is it albums I'm going to show you, is a word of warning, because I was watching Word in Your Ear, the YouTube videos with David Hepworth and Mark Ellen. I think they were both to do with the Old Grey Whistle Test post Whispering Bob Harris, but they were also involved in music press and smash hits and Mojo and the Q magazine, etc. So they've got good credentials anyway. And they often have an invited guest, quite often somebody that's writing a book or has written a book about the Beatles and other subject matter as well. But one of their guests mentioned this album, Manfred Mann's Chapter 3. And he said it was quite hard to get hold of these days and could fetch a good price. Not that I buy music on the basis of how much it'll go up in value, but this album belonged to my wife. So I thought, I've seen that on the shelf, haven't listened to it, I'll give it a spin. So I did that. It's on the Vertigo record label, a very unusual sort of opening up out sort of origami type thing. Maybe not. But I thought, that's interesting. So as you see, when I pull the record out, that doesn't look like a Vertigo swirl at all. It's on the Immediate record label. And the group are called Twice as Much. And I think they maybe had a single which was called Sitting on the Fence, I'm not sure. This is from 1966. And it has a cover of Help by, you know, that Fab Four or Lennon and McCartney. They also do a Spector Goffin King track called Is This What I Get for Loving You, Baby? There's the Spinning Wheel. And on the back, we have Sha-La-La-La-Lee, which you might expect to find on the Immediate record label, but more probably by the Small Faces. And then you've got As Tear Goes By, We Can Work It Out. So these guys hadn't worked out that it was best to, you know, write their own songs. And they also had Play with Fire, the Nanker Fledge, aka Jagger and Richards. So yeah, so when I looked on the Record Collector's Guide, this Twice as Much album was either about 90 to 100 pounds, depending if it was mono or stereo. Interesting that the record doesn't say if it's mono or stereo. I should play it to find out. And the Manfred Mann, I think, was about 175. So we've got a Manfred Mann sleeve and Twice as Much inner, or actual vinyl record. And one of them would be, if it had the right cover, would be worth about £100. And the other one, if it had the right record inside it, would be worth about 175 or so. Mind you, when you see records on Discogs or Record Collector, really it's, you know, the album's only worth as much as what somebody's willing to pay for it. So the moral of the story and the warning is always put your records back in the correct sleeve. I don't know if this had been taken to a party somewhere and somebody else might have Manfred Mann's Chapter 3 in a Twice as Much sleeve. But I also wanted to show you this artwork. I don't know if anybody out there remembers scraper board. You get a piece of black card, and when you use the point of a compass or a divider, you could scrape out an image. So underneath the black surface is a white one waiting to be turned into some sort of image. So this is my scraper board portrait of Stevie Wonder. So just thought I'd share that. Other thing I wanted to show was Meatloaf Ticket from March 1994. Poor Meatloaf is now past, a great entertainer. When we saw him in Aberdeen in March 94, part of the stage pyrotechnics was sort of flamethrowers. I can almost still feel the force of these flames. I think there was about 6 of them coming from the front of the stage, and I'm sure my hair was almost singed despite not being in the front row. So that's Meatloaf, great concert. Another great concert was Cast at the Music Hall in Union Street in Aberdeen. And this was from December 97. I think I took my nephew along. He wanted to see Cast. And I think I was the oldest person in the audience that night. Very young crowd. Thoroughly enjoyed it. One of the unsung heroes of Britpop, I think, Cast. Really good band. So on to more random records, or this time I thought I'd show you a wonderful female artist, female vocalist, and I don't think I've seen her records being shown on the vinyl community. So here we go. Helen Reddy, and the lady from Australia, wonderful voice. Her big hits, or big hit, was Angie Baby. Very interesting song, I think maybe about mental illness. But the second track on this is Raised on Rock. And I think it's my life story. I was born in the mid-50s, and yeah, Raised on Rock, I think, mentions Elvis, but also the Beatles and the Stones, and it's a great song. And yeah, we've also got Free and Easy on here as well. So this was from 1974, and the time where she had that big hit with Angie Baby. And then here's another one, Helen Reddy. And this one's called Ear Candy. And it's got My World, which I think was a Cilla Black, but it's also got If It's Magic, Stevie Wonder cover, and Baby I'm a Star. So, and Laissez le bon temps rouler, which I think is maybe a song that you might recognize. Quite an interesting inner sleeve with candy sticks with all the lyrics, and another portrait of Helen Reddy. And this one is called We'll Sing in the Sunshine. Nice portraits of Helen. And I don't know if you can read it. She does a cover of One After 909. For a female vocalist, that's not what you would expect, is it? But yeah, some really nice songs, including We'll Sing in the Sunshine. Helen Reddy appeared in the film Pete's Dragon, and I think it was the mid-70s. She was playing the London Palladium, and I happened to be down in London for a study trip with friends or fellow students from the Scott Salone's School of Architecture in Aberdeen. And we were doing a study trip and studying some of the wonderful buildings in London. And I think I heard on the radio that Helen Reddy was going to be playing the London Palladium. So I managed to get a ticket. I think it must have been one of the few that was left, because my seat was the very back row of the upper circle. I think there was a guy standing behind me with the spotlight. And we were staying in a hotel not far from the Iranian embassy. And if people remember from the mid-70s, there was a siege at the Iranian embassy. So I think our hotel was one or two streets down, but in parallel to where the siege was going on. And I'm not sure if it was before we returned to Aberdeen or after, but the SAS sort of abseiled down from the roof and threw smoke grenades in, and I'm not sure if there were some casualties, but yeah, that was quite dramatic. But the other thing I remember about going to see this lovely lady was that I took the tube, and this was the days before mobile phones. So I took the tube to near where the London Palladium was, and I wandered round and round. I don't know if obviously taken the wrong exit out of the underground station. So it was getting near time for the show to start. So I thought, oh, I'll get in a taxi and the taxi can take me to the London Palladium. So I flagged down a taxi, got in, and I said, I'm going to London Palladium. And the chap says, oh, okay. And he turned round the next corner and says, there you are, mate. And he says, no charge, it was just round the corner. So if I'd had a mobile phone in those days, I would have been able to see exactly where I was and the route that I needed to take, probably 150 steps round the corner to the London Palladium. It was a fantastic show, really enjoyable. So that's my story about Helen Reddy and the Australian female vocalist that I don't see very often on the vinyl community and YouTube. Now, there will be a bit of a continuity break here because yesterday morning I unboxed some vinyl community Love Train. So I got a record from Pete from Sounds from the West Coast. So vinyl community, now for the unboxing. I'm so excited about this. So this is a package all the way from, I think, the West Coast to maybe Cumbria. And this is some vinyl community Love Train from Pete at Sounds from the West Coast. So Pete said he was sending me a copy of a record that I'd shown the CD for on the Richard McCook 3 years in the VC contest. So I don't know which of the 3 CDs this LP, this vinyl LP is for. So let's get opening. Fantastic. So Pete says, I hope this finds you well. The record here, I accidentally bought twice at record fairs, a combination of senility and having too many records. So when I saw it on your video as one you'd like to own on vinyl, I thought, great, I can pass on one copy. Hope you enjoy it. Regards, Pete. So thank you very much, Pete. This is family's Bandstand, the one in the shape of the early television set, and it's great. And this has one of my favorite songs of all time, My Friend the Sun, as well as Burlesque is probably the other one, you know. So yeah, the packaging's great, just like the back of old televisions that I remember from my childhood. I remember my parents had to buy a new television because I wanted to see Yogi Bear and it was on ITV or Grampian TV, and the TV we had only could show BBC One. So I'm a child before even BBC Two. So thank you very much, Pete. Ecstatic to have this copy of Bandstand by Family. So I'll need to see about passing on some VCLT to somebody that has a requirement for a record that I maybe have a duplicate of. So thanks so much, Pete, and check out his channel, Sounds from the West Coast, and he's a big krautrock fan, so lots of videos about his krautrock collection. Thanks again, Pete. So welcome back. You can maybe see over my shoulder a portrait of David Bowie. We'll come to that in a second. But first, I wanted to show an article from the Press and Journal, which is the local newspaper in Aberdeen. And this was from November 2015. So I'm a real hoarder, you know. I don't hoard everything, but I do hoard a lot of things to do with music. The reason I kept this particular edition and pages out of the Press and Journal was they were encouraging us to share our memories of the music hall, which was a great, or still is a great music venue. And it was about to close to be refurbished. But I don't know if you can make that out, but there's David Bowie and his Ziggy Stardust tour, and you won't be able to see her, but in the second row, my wife is in the photograph. So that's David Bowie at the Music Hall. And I also want to show some other ephemera. And this is a ticket from the Aberdeen Exhibition and Conference Centre for a David Bowie concert in November '95 with special guest Morrissey. And I think it was when David Bowie was promoting his Outside album. So my wife and I went along to the concert. When we arrived at the concert, it had been announced that Morrissey was unwell, so he would not be appearing in the show that night. And there was a big queue of people at the box office wanting their money back because they didn't want to see David Bowie. They were there to see Morrissey from the Smiths. I was there to see David Bowie. It was a good concert, although I think it was mainly playing tracks from Outside. I think they did a good version of Under Pressure and maybe 2 or 3 of his hits from yesteryear, but that was kept for the encore. So not the best David Bowie concert I'd been to, but yeah, it's always good to see the Thin White Duke. So I'll now go over and get this magazine. This is a Sunday Times magazine from July 20th, 1975. And it says the new face of David Bowie. You can see he's smoking a cigarette on the cover. You don't get that these days. Now on the back cover, there's another cigarette advert. So this is the Bowie Odyssey, photographs of David Bowie. And there's some of the words from the article. I've caused enough from this for someone who's not even convinced he's a good musician. There's a quote from here. I've always been a screenwriter, Bowie says, his pale eyes scanning me for the faintest hint of skepticism. My songs have just been practice for scripts. He also says, I bought a saxophone after reading Jack Kerouac's On the Road. I wanted to be like Sail Paradise and Moriarty, and I have succeeded as much as anyone could in a dump like Bromley. Apologies for any viewers from Bromley. There's a photo of David Bowie and the Buzz ticket. I think it's 4 shillings, July the 15th, not sure which year. And then Bowie was always his fashion sense, his sartorial elegance. So there's him with Angie. And then there's a recommendation for the 6 best David Bowie albums from, well, Hunky Dory, Space Oddity, Aladdin Sane, Pin-Ups, and Diamond Dogs, and then The Young Americans. So I thought you might be interested in seeing inside that magazine. There's also photos of motorbikes that might be useful for your commute. And I think there was also an advert for a Renault 5. So other French cars are available. So I thought you'd like to see some of these images from David Bowie. So we'll close it there. Just want to say thank you again to Pete. Please subscribe to Sounds from the West Coast, great channel. And I just can't thank Pete enough for this wonderful copy of Bandstand. So bye for now. I will come back and do another random records and music ephemera. So, but take care. And yeah, I hope Rob Walker is recovering. Quite a shock that he has some sort of spinal injury and will be in hospital for a wee while. I hope you get home soon, Rob, and take care. Bye just now.